The Marvel Cinematic Universe has introduced multiple gods into its ever-growing roster of characters, and some of the strongest stand out as major threats. From very early in the franchise, the movies of the MCU have introduced several notable characters with godlike power levels. While some of these characters, such as Thor, have proved themselves important heroes, and others, like Odin, have played more supporting roles, there have been multiple gods introduced to the MCU that pose a serious threat. Throughout the MCU's movie timeline, many of the franchise's most villainous gods have established themselves as hugely dangerous figures. Many of these have been described as literal gods, while others are simply powerful beings with god-level abilities. With these characters, a hierarchy of villainous gods has formed within the franchise. With that in mind, here are the 10 strongest gods in the MCU, ranked by threat level alone. 10. Loki. First appearance, Thor, 2011. First introduced into the MCU as a villain in 2011's Thor, Loki's character development is typically considered some of the franchise's best. Evolving from a ruthless, calculating antagonist into a lovably reluctant hero, Loki no longer appears to pose a threat to the MCU at large. However, his earlier actions in Thor and the Avengers showcase that he is capable of extreme villainy, and his power level makes him still dangerous on many levels. After the ending of Loki, Season 2 saw the MCU's God of Mischief become the God of Stories. It's clear that Loki can destroy entire timelines at will. Though the act of sacrifice that saw him gain the ability was heroic, should he undergo another villainous turn, his new power set could prove devastating. Though he doesn't appear to pose a major threat to the MCU, his new powers combined with his proven unpredictability make him a god to watch closely. 9. The Grandmaster. First appearance, Thor, Ragnarok, 2017. The Grandmaster might not be the most high-profile of characters to have appeared in the MCU, but he's undoubtedly a powerful being. As one of the ageless elders of the universe, the Grandmaster's abilities include matter manipulation, energy control, and the ability to cause or undo the death of others at will, to name a few. His access to the power primordial makes him a master strategist, which makes him incredibly dangerous. The MCU's depiction of the Grandmaster is significantly quirkier than his comic book counterpart, but he has demonstrated both his impressive abilities and his villainous streak in his franchise appearances. Though he does not seem to pose any genuine threat to the MCU at large, the Grandmaster's abilities make him potentially dangerous. The Grandmaster's godlike status might be played down in the MCU, but he still has the capacity to be one of its most powerful villains. 8. Zeus. First appearance, Thor, Love and Thunder, 2022. Making his much-anticipated MCU debut as part of the cast of Thor, Love and Thunder, Zeus was quickly established as one of the franchise's most powerful gods. His role as the leader of Omnipotent City immediately painted him as an influential figure amongst the MCU's pantheon of deities, and his strength was hinted at. Though Zeus hasn't traditionally been a villain in his Marvel Comics appearances, his MCU debut painted him in a more threatening light. After finding himself at odds with Thor, Zeus was revealed as holding a grudge against the god of thunder. Love and Thunder's post-credits scene set up Zeus to be an antagonist in future movies, hinting at his potential villain role in the MCU's wider narrative. His grudge being solely with Thor lessens the level of threat somewhat, but the hugely powerful god may yet find himself at odds with the heroes of the MCU. 7. Hercules. First appearance, Thor, Love and Thunder, 2022. The most exciting character introduced in Thor, Love and Thunder's post-credits scenes was Brett Goldstein's Hercules, teasing the prominent Avengers' full MCU debut. The scene sets up a conflict between Hercules and Thor, with the former attempting to exact retribution for the latter's perceived slight of Zeus in Love and Thunder. Hercules' primary role as a hero in the comics makes the threat he poses to the MCU seem relatively small, but he could present a difficult challenge for Thor. In the comics, Hercules is immortal and invulnerable, as well as possessing superhuman strength, speed, and reflexes. His abilities alone will undoubtedly make him a formidable rival for Thor, and his role as a powerful god within the wider Marvel universe is undeniable. As such, Hercules poses a major threat to one of the MCU's most prominent Avengers, even if it is likely that he's ultimately destined to be one of the franchise's heroes. 6. Ammit, first appearance. Moon Knight, the Egyptian god of judgment, is introduced as the main antagonist of one of the MCU's best TV shows, Moon Knight. The show saw the majority of her actions come to life through the intervention of her avatar, Arthur Harrow, whose villainy tapped into the god's power. As a major antagonist to both her fellow gods and the wider MCU, Ammit is an incredibly dangerous character. Ammit's willingness to kill those with potential evil in their future makes her a complicated but abhorrent villain. Her freedom threatened the lives of countless innocents, and though she was defeated in Moon Knight's ending, it's not totally impossible that Ammit could return. If so, her status as a member of the Aeneid would more than qualify her as one of the gods who pose the biggest threat to the MCU. 5. Ego. First appearance. Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2, 2017. The exact nature of the MCU's iteration of Ego the Living Planet was never truly explored in any depth, but it is clear that he possesses godlike abilities during his short appearance in the franchise. Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2 introduced Ego, who introduced himself to his son, Star-Lord, as a Celestial. Whether he is a true Celestial or not, Ego is capable of manipulating matter on a seemingly cosmic scale. Ego was seemingly killed at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2, but he remains one of the strongest god-type characters to have appeared in the MCU. His ability to seed multiple planets to absorb them into his being makes him a threat on a much larger scale than most MCU villains, as if left unchecked, he could have claimed all life in the universe. Ego's specific origin story notwithstanding, he's undeniably one of the biggest threats ever to appear in the MCU. 4. Hela. First appearance. Thor, Ragnarok, 2017. The Asgardian goddess of death, Hela, made her MCU debut in 2017's Thor, Ragnarok. Established as the older sister of Thor and Loki and Odin's firstborn child, Hela was described as being too bloodthirsty, leading to 5 millennia of imprisonment. Immediately after Odin's death, Hela breaks free, lays claim to the throne of Asgard, and repeatedly bests Thor and other heroes in battle, proving how incredibly dangerous and powerful she is. Thor, Ragnarok's ending saw Thor flee the seemingly unbeatable Hela, instead allowing Surtur to destroy Asgard and his sister along with it. Though her death makes any return highly improbable, Hela remains one of the strongest gods to have graced the MCU's timeline. What's more, her apparent dominion over death only makes her all the more dangerous, and she poses a massive threat to Earth and any other worlds she lays her eyes on. 3. Surtur. First appearance. Thor, Ragnarok, 2017. Surtur's role in the MCU's wider story has proven to be incredibly limited. However, his single major appearance in Thor, Ragnarok gave him an important role in the franchise's timeline, as he was responsible for the destruction of Asgard and the defeat of Hela. Surtur is another character who appears to now be dead within the MCU's main timeline, but he still ranks as one of the franchise's strongest godlike figures. It's difficult to precisely rank Surtur's destructive capabilities against other MCU villains, as his time in the franchise was so short. However, seeing him easily destroy both Asgard and Hela in mere moments was a positive indicator of his strength, and it makes him a hugely powerful entity in the MCU. Should Surtur find some way to return, he would pose a giant danger to the franchise at large. 2. Dormammu. First appearance, Doctor Strange 2016. Dormammu has not featured heavily in the MCU, but he did make his live-action debut in Doctor Strange in 2016. In his brief appearance, Dormammu was able to easily defeat Strange, but was brought to a stalemate after being trapped in a time loop. Despite being outsmarted by the budding sorcerer, Dormammu is one of the most powerful villainous beings currently active within the MCU. As an interdimensional being from the Dark Dimension, Dormammu is effectively a god. His abilities involve the manipulation of energy and matter, as well as a mastery of dark magic and immortality. The sheer scope and versatility of Dormammu's powers make him an incredibly strong villain, and though he has yet to play a major part in the MCU, he is undeniably one of the most dangerous godlike beings the franchise has introduced. 1. Arishem. First appearance, Eternals 2021. Marvel Celestials may not technically be gods in a literal sense, but they are ancient and immensely powerful beings with cosmic levels of power. Arishem is one of the most powerful and influential Celestials. His role in the MCU so far has only set him up as a future villain, but he is certainly a major threat. Arishem's celestial abilities make him effectively a god within the Marvel Universe, and Eternals' ending means that he also bears a major grudge against the Earth. Considering his capabilities and his issues with Earth, Arishem is perhaps the biggest god-level threat so far introduced in the franchise. The Celestial's role within the Marvel Cinematic Universe might have yet to be fully established, but Arishem certainly has the scope to become a major villain within the wider franchise.